Hey everybody, welcome to Bonsai. This is Garrett, and this is just another little episode I'm doing for you guys. If you can notice, I'm actually in my office, and I got a gift for Christmas that I wanted to use today. This is a nice pot by Tiberio Gracco. It's an original. Very good quality, but I wanted to put a plant in here to go on display right here on my grow light. So since this is indoors, there's no windows in this warehouse unit that I'm in. I've decided to go with a ficus variety. Now this is just a little starter tree, so I mean it's nothing crazy. It's had basic shape started. It's just growing in a little 2-inch container here. But I wanted to use this inside this little pot. I think it would look cool once it fills out. And I think it's the right size to where I can put it safely in here and start the bonsai process of this tree. This tree is special. It's a variegated kind, so it's got different color leaves. I know there's not much leaves on here right now, but this is a Benjamin ficus, and it's called the neon because it's got these neon green leaves. So it'll look cool when it's filling out. I'm gonna just go ahead and pot it up in here and then do some basic wiring to it just to start it on its journey. Like I said, I chose a ficus because they do pretty well indoors. And I think my grow light is going to be well enough to be able to support the growth. So yeah, in this video you're going to just see me potting it up in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a screen mesh over the drain hole here. And to do that, you find one that fits nicely over the hole that you're trying to plug up. So this one fits pretty good. And then I have a bit of a scrap wire here that I'm going to use. And the easiest, simplest way is to bend it in a U shape like this, to where it's like a U, and then you stick it through the holes on the pot, through the drain hole, just like that. So basically, you have the wire mesh with the wire that sticks through it for the support, and then it's coming out the bottom. Now the easiest way to secure it to the pot is to just bend these tabs over and then cut it. So the first thing I'm going to do is lock it in place like that. You see it's a little too long, so I'm going to just trim the excess off. Just like that. That's the simplest way to secure the mesh to the bottom of the pot. I like to just tighten it a little bit by kind of pulling on it, twisting it a little. It's kind of makes it get a little tighter to the pot. But yeah, that's basically the easiest way to do it. Now that I got the mesh in place, I'm going to put some wires through the other side holes. See these 4 little holes right here? I cut out some wire, and then this basically just holds the roots of the tree into the pot. That way it can hold it securely so the tree doesn't fall out of it, basically. So this one I'm going to just bend it a little bit until it goes through the holes. Alright. So now that I have the wire stuck through the holding holes. I'm going to spread this out, that way I could tie it around the roots later on. So I'm going to go ahead and just spread that out. Alright, so I set this little rubber mat here to protect the soil. Now I'm going to take the tree out of the little training pot here and separate the old soil from the roots as much as I can. And to take it out of the pot, you squeeze all the sides, loosen it up, and then it comes right out. So I had this growing just in regular peat-based potting soil. I think I added some extra little stones in there for drainage, but it's just basically regular soil. So what I'm going to do is now set it down on the table and comb everything out. Alright, now I'm going to go toss this dirt out, and I'm going to rinse the rest of the soil off with water so I can see what I'm working with on the roots here. Alright, so now that I washed like 99% of the dirt off the roots, I can go ahead and select which ones I want to trim. You see how it's growing basically in a giant clump that basically fit the container here. Now I got to thin it out to where it'll fit in this shallower container. So I'm either going to cut some of the top of the roots off to where it'll fit, or I'm going to cut some of the bottom ones off, but either way I got to spread them out and see what I'm doing. So right off the bat, I noticed that at the very bottom here, it's got some big, thick, clumpy roots. I don't need all of that. So I'm probably going to trim one or two of them off. I know for sure this one is way too high. So I'm for sure going to cut this one off right now. I'm just going to cut it flush. There you go. I can plant that and that'll grow another ficus. Good thing about ficus variety trees is when you make cuts like this, they heal really fast. So I don't even think I'm going to put paste over it. This one kind of circles around and comes up. I'm going to take this one off. Okay, yeah, so now I'm going to leave the bottom ones on because I like the way it spreads out better. I'm just going to cut some of these top ones off, so I'm just going to start cutting some of these top ones, that way it'll fit in the pot better. I think I have one more that I want to cut off that's going to be too high for planting it. So that's the root base that I have now. I have probably one more I'm going to cut just because it's circling around. But I think I like that. This will fit in there nicely. Alright, so now to the potting part. What you want to do is figure out where the front of your pot is. So look very closely at every detail on the pot because that's going to be the front facing you. That's the part that you want to make like the center focal point of when people look at this tree. You don't want like a big chip to be showing on the front of the tree. So you want to figure out where you like the front to be. So on this one, I noticed there's 2 drain holes on the side. So I particularly don't want the drain hole to be showing as the front of the tree. So I'm gonna put it sideways so the drain holes aren't showing as much. See the little indentation right there on the bottom of the pot? That's to let the water run out. So I think I like this as my front, so I'm going to put it facing me. This is going to be my front right here. Now what you want to do is look at your tree that you're going to plant in it. Figure out the front of the tree. You know, figure out which orientation you're going to want to put it. So for me, I like it this way. This is going to be my front. So what I normally do is just set it down like that. That way I know this is the front and this is the front. Now, potting soil is controversy and it completely depends on where you're growing the tree at. So if you're growing it where I'm at in Florida, where it's 110 degrees outside like half the year, you're going to want more of a water retaining soil if you're growing it outside. Now I'm going to be growing it indoors here under a grow light, so I'm not going to be very specific with the soil that I'm using. Basically what I'm doing is using a bark soil from fir trees, like Christmas type trees, and I cut them up into little tiny pieces. So these are all the same size grains, but basically it's just going to grow in this. And then I will feed it probably liquid fertilizer instead of mixing the fertilizer in with the soil. So I'm going to just use the straight up. It's like pine bark, but it's from fir trees. You could use pine bark if you want, but this is just what I'm using. It's an organic soil. It's not rock based. As it breaks down over time, it'll turn into plant food as it decomposes. I just want to test using it indoors and see how it goes. But basically I have a whole batch here made up of the stuff. So first I'm going to put a layer of the pine bark down. Just want to coat the bottom. That way it covers up the little drain screen that we put. You know, just make a little layer. Just like that. It's just enough to cover the screen. I put a little tiny mound in the middle. That way I can kind of put the tree roots over it. So now you want to make sure exactly where your front is. So for me, it's going to be right here. And then the exact front of the tree, I'm going to have it right here. So I just kind of wiggle it down, kind of pressing down, not too hard, but just enough to where it kind of digs into that little mound you just put. So I'm going to hold this in place as I wrap the wire around the root there, and it's going to hold it in place. Put a little more. Okay. Center. I like the tree there. Now, holding it in place, a lot of people take the wires and twist it together real tight to hold the tree down, but there's not wind in here. This is indoors, so I don't need to really tie it tight. What I'm going to do is just kind of like push the wire over. It kind of folds over the roots. Just to kind of give it a little bit of a stability, but not making it so tight that it strangles the roots. So you see it's holding it up like that. I'm going to trim some of the excess off, that way if I ever repot it down the road, it'll be a little easier to take out. Let me reput that. Alright. I basically put it just enough to give it some stability. Now what I'm going to do is take some more of the medium that you're going to use for your growing medium, and I just kind of loosely sprinkle it all around the tree. So now that you have it all around, now what you want to do is take, I use this as a chopstick, you want to kind of push the bark down into the roots. And you just want to go all around like that until you feel like it's packed in all the way. And then you just keep adding more soil until it's filled up to the top. And I like to gently pat it down just to kind of make everything fall into place a little better, make it a little more snug in there. Just kind of clean up the edges a little bit. Alright. And there you go, now it's potted. Now's a good time if you want to wire your tree. You know, you could wrap the wire around it, shape it how you like, do some basic pruning. Like I got a little dead twig right here I'm going to prune off. This one's going a little upward. Trim that. This one's dying. Trim that off. So yeah, I'm not gonna really, actually yeah, I think I am gonna wire this one. This one's going a little upright to me. I want to kind of hold it down a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and wire it just just this branch. So I'm going to start from the bottom, wrap it around the trunk, and then wrap it around this to be able to hold it down a little bit. Alright, so I got a thick piece of wire here. It's just a recycled piece of wire that I had. I'm actually going to wrap it around the whole trunk all the way up to the top. Now you don't want to just like wind it without knowing what you're doing. You want to try to keep like a 45-degree angle on the trunk the whole way up. So what I do is I stab the back of the wire down like that. So I kind of stick it all the way to the bottom of the pot, and then you can start wrapping it around. So basically you hold the tree so it doesn't move for the first couple loops, and then I just twist it like that at like a 45-degree angle. I'm not going too tight, just going tight enough to hold the trunk in place. Trim off the excess, and then now you can start playing with it. So I know I'm going to want this to come this way a little, and then I want this to come down a little more. This one seems a little straight, so maybe I'll twist it a little more. Give it some depth. So now I got the trunk how I like it shaped. Now I'm going to do like I said before and wire these branches down a little more. Alright, I got a thinner piece of wire for the thin branches here. You always want to wire two branches together. So it's not going to do me any good if I just tie this wire to the branch here and try to wire this down. You need like stability, so I'm going to anchor it to this branch and then wrap it around the trunk and then tie it to this branch too. So, and then I'm going to anchor it to this branch right here. Just going to go like maybe 2 turns. Actually, I'll do the whole thing. This wire is easy enough to bend. So there, I got this wire wrapped. Now I'm going to follow this wire up to the other branch. I could wrap it around this one. Alright. I can cut the excess off on this one. Trim it off here. Now I could shape this one. I'm just going to bend it down a little bit and then back up a little. Just giving it a little movement, nothing crazy. I just didn't like how it was sticking straight up before. Turn that one up. There you go. Now bend this one down a tiny bit. And just give it a little bit of movement. Something like that. I'm happy with that. It's not like an exhibition tree. It's just one that I'm going to grow here in my office. And if the soil comes a little loose from wiggling the trunk around, just pat it back down. And then there you go. That's what I have right now. All I got to do now is water it in, give it some light. See how it goes. So there we have it. It's my little ficus starting its way to be a bonsai. I think it'll look good in my office here. When this thing grows some more, I'm hoping that it kind of fills out into a triangle shape. I don't know if you can envision that, but hopefully that'll fill out to where it'll get somewhat like that, you know, flat right here. Just, you know, a general triangle. And I'm hoping it grows some more sideways branches, kind of fills it out so it's not so two-dimensional. But I think it's a good start to this tree. I'm loving this pot. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this little demonstration slash me just showing you my tree video. I'm gonna plan to do some more. I got another little starter here that I want to do some kind of cascade tree with in the future, so stay tuned. I'm gonna put this one in the office here too, but I need to find a good pot for it. So thanks for watching, and hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or if you want to see more content like this. I know this is a nursery setting, this is my office, but hopefully you learned something or enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching.